Good morning or afternoon or good night. Contractually obligated cat appearance. Oh, little Smokely loves the First Amendment, and so should you. And for today, we're going to look at the freedom of religion part. Oh, am I allowed to sacrifice my cat if it's my religious belief? Hmm. That kind of question is something that we can literally answer by looking at the First Amendment. And I'm not even trying to be weird. That's just true. So here we go. There should be a little quiz attached to this article, and I'm going to share the article now. Here we go, and we'll get to reading. As my cat runs out of the room, I don't blame her. Okay, this is lesson 24. There should be a few questions here. Big terms to understand here are the Establishment Clause and Free Exercise Clause. I do know that there is a question where it asks you to explain the difference between the two. So as you read this or watch this video, keep that in mind. So the title of the lesson is How Does the Constitution Protect Freedom of Religion? Let's get to it. How does the First Amendment protect freedom of religion? The very first part of the First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The meaning of these words in the First Amendment is explained below. Establishment of religion means Congress may not establish, that is, institute an official religion for our country or favor any one religion over others. We call this the Establishment Clause. And for the free exercise part, Congress may not stop you from holding any religious beliefs you choose or having no religious beliefs at all. Government may not unfairly or unreasonably limit your right to practice any religious beliefs you wish. We call this the Free Exercise Clause. Got a picture of a chaplain on board a US Navy ship there in that picture. Why did freedom of religion become an important principle in America? Few of the early English colonies in North America permitted religious freedom. In several colonies, one religious group controlled the whole colony. Everyone living there had to follow the same religious ideas. People who disagreed were often persecuted or forced to leave the colony. By the end of the colonial period, things had changed. For one thing, there were more religious groups such as Baptists, Catholics, Jews, Quakers, and others. Most people's attitudes had also changed. More people practiced different religions. People became more accepting of each other's religious differences. Over time, people came to believe strongly that everyone has a right to his or her own religious beliefs. And we've got a picture of the Puritans arriving in America. Religious freedom has not always tolerated in the colonies, but as the colonial period neared its end, there were a variety of religions represented, leading to more acceptance of religious diversity. In addition, men like Thomas Jefferson and James Madison were greatly concerned about the dangers of religious intolerance. They were well aware that throughout history, religious intolerance had often led to conflict and to the violation of individual rights. They thought religious intolerance was a danger to the community and harmful to religion. The Freedom of Religion Clause in the First Amendment, in the first part of the First Amendment, illustrates the strong belief in America that government should not interfere with religion. Why do conflicts about freedom of religion exist today? Americans strongly believe that freedom of religion is an important right, but that does not mean that we have no disagreements about this issue today. Today's conflicts about freedom of religion focus on the following issues. With the Establishment Clause. This clause set forth the idea that government is to be separated from religion. The meaning of the Establishment Clause is a continuing source of conflict among Americans. Does it mean that government may not be involved with religion in any way? With the Free Exercise Clause, each person has an absolute right to believe in any religion or in no religion at all. Freedom of belief is an inalienable right that cannot be interfered with by government in any way. The Free Exercise Clause also means that your right to practice your religious beliefs is protected. But does the Free Exercise Clause mean that all religious practices are protected? Can government prohibit a religious practice that endangers public health or safety? Sometimes there are conflicts between the principles in the Establishment and the Free Exercise Clauses. For example, if government pays for prison chaplains, it is supporting religion. On the other hand, to prohibit government from doing this would interfere with the right of prisoners to practice their religion. Disagreements like these about the relationship between government and religion have caused a number of important cases to be brought before the US Supreme Court. In each case, the Supreme Court has had to decide how the freedom of religion clauses of the First Amendment should be interpreted. So this link here, the ban on high school cheerleaders, it's about a particular thing that they did, and the Supreme Court banned it. It's a good idea for you to check that out. Can government limit your right to practice your religious beliefs? In certain cases, government can limit the way you practice your religious beliefs. And again, keep that in mind. In certain cases, government can limit the way you practice your religious beliefs. That doesn't mean that the government's going to limit your religious beliefs at all. You can believe whatever you want. You can believe that there is a flying spaghetti monster in space, and that is the all-powerful God. Or you can believe in the typical Christian idea of God, of that all-powerful being, that sort of thing. Or you can believe that there's no God, or you can believe that you have no idea whatsoever. So moving forward, the US Supreme Court has ruled that certain religious practices may be forbidden without violating constitutional rights. The court has said that religious practices may be limited if they are contrary to public morals, endanger health, or harm the common good. US Supreme Court decisions have said that religious practices involving polygamy may be forbidden. Government can also require that children be vaccinated against certain contagious diseases before being admitted to public school. They may require vaccination, even if it violates a family's religious beliefs. There we go. Some churches, mostly in the southeastern United States, practice snake handling. This means holding venomous snakes as a way to prove one's faith. Snake handling is against the law in most states. Although the government cannot restrict a person's religious beliefs, it can restrict religious practices if they are contrary to public morals, endanger health, or harm the common good. So going back to the question at the beginning of the video, Smokely is safe, even though she ran away and probably won't ever talk to me again. They have a short memory. I feed her. How can we decide issues about religion in public schools? At the time the Constitution was written, public schools as we know them did not exist. Children who attended school usually received a great deal of religious training. In fact, their parents expected the schools to give religious instruction. There has been growing disagreement about whether religious teaching should be supported in public schools. During the past 70 years, especially, the US Supreme Court has heard many cases dealing with this subject. Some questions the court has tried to answer are as follows. One, should tax money be used to support religious schools? And the answer is yes. In fact, that's in Indiana, like charter schools. Mm. Should public schools be allowed to provide periods of time when students can attend special classes to receive religious instruction from their own minister, priest, or rabbi? Should public schools be allowed to require students to take part in prayers or read the Bible during regular school hours? The Establishment Clause requires that government be neutral toward religion. Government cannot support one type of religion over another type, nor can it support religion over non religion. So, this issue here, the phrase under God in the Pledge of Allegiance has been the subject of numerous lawsuits over the years. In many states, students are required to say the pledge. Controversy usually centers around whether the words under God constitute a government endorsement of religion. The courts follow guidelines when deciding whether government is complying with the Establishment Clause. They look at three factors. Number one, the courts examine whether government is actively endorsing religion. Number two, the courts examine whether government is compelling people to participate in religious activities or to accept religious beliefs. Number three, the courts examine whether government is providing special treatment to one type of religion that is not. And four, providing to other types of religion. That's a mix up there. I gotta fix that. Oopsies, there it is. That it is not providing to other types of religion. If government fails any one of these factors, it is in violation of the Establishment Clause. In a recent case, for example, the United States Supreme Court ruled that a high school could not require its students to participate in a prayer at their graduation ceremony. The court concluded that the high school, by requiring the prayer, was endorsing religion and compelling the students to participate in the prayer. And that's it. How about that? Short and sweet. So, in summary, how does the First Amendment protect your right of religious expression? There's two parts. Number one, the Free Exercise Clause, and the number two, Establishment Clause. Actually, it's number one, the Establishment Clause. Number two, Free Exercise Clause. And I figure if you're still watching this video, I'll go ahead and give you the answer. The Establishment Clause essentially says, what's the difference between the two? Just think about an establishment. Like my apartment is literally a building, right? An establishment. Government cannot have an established religion. That means like my walls cannot be made of Christianity, for example. So like in a public school, there cannot be a lot of religious stuff on the walls. And if there is, the way that they counteract that is by allowing other religious beliefs to be on the wall as well, like equal standing, right? Number two, the Free Exercise Clause. The Free Exercise Clause essentially says that you have the right to whatever religious belief that you want. So the difference between the two, I like to think about it as somebody standing inside a building. Like the building itself, we are protected by that establishment part, and then the other part is the right for that person inside that building to practice their religious beliefs. So the difference is the Establishment Clause essentially says the government can't force a religion down to you, and the Free Exercise Clause protects your religious beliefs. So that is the answer to one of these short questions, or short answers rather. That's it. I should end the video now. I should. Have a good one. Love you. See you later.